We're Batman at 89. Greetings and welcome to Batminute 89, the podcast where we are going to investigate Tim Burton's Batman 1 minute at a time. I am going to be one of your hosts, John Parker.
And I am going to be the other, Niall McGowan.
Yes, and we are here. This is officially episode 0, so you're getting in on the ground floor of this thing.
I'm thrown. I don't know what to do for an episode 0. It's like, what? I say we're doing the show, but we're not doing the show. But
basically, yeah, the idea is just to introduce ourselves before we begin and kick off with our episodes. I thought the idea was, of course, we'd introduce ourselves a little bit and explain our history with this movie. So, of course, I am John Parker, as I said at the start. And I am a Batman fan, but I sort of focus on the films. I have a few of the comic books. I read those from time to time, but I'm not obsessively geeky about them. I don't really watch a lot of the cartoons and things. I love the movies. I grew up with the films. So if there's anybody you want to shout at for getting things wrong, I'm the guy. But you're different, aren't you, Niall?
Yeah. I kind of spread my I'm a big fan of the films as well, and being born in 1987, these the Burton verse and the 1990s animated Batman series are kind of like my go-to Batman things. But since then I've delved fairly deep into the comics and into the lore, and I've spread my bat love across various mediums. So
well, you introduced me to those new video games they've been doing, the Arkham games.
Oh yeah, excellent games, and
they're all very good.
And of course, yeah, I'll be the one, the kind of guy, like someone's like, oh, what's your favorite Batman film? I'll be the guy going, Mask of the Phantasm is the best Batman film. I'm like, no, I mean, one's released in the cinema. I was like, it was released in the cinema. It was released around Christmas of 1993.
So what's your history with the movie then?
This film is, as I said before, like the Burton films are, they were my introduction to the character, like that and the animated series. But because they came out, the animated series came out like directly after Batman Returns, so they're kind of all up in the air at the same time. I don't remember. I think I actually saw Batman Returns first, because I remember getting that as a Christmas present when I was very young. So that was 92, and it would have been around the year it came out. So it would have been like 5 or 6 years old, probably.
I reckon people around our age probably did the same thing. They probably saw the second one first.
But if you're in that age bracket, and because I think I got that VHS for Christmas, and loved it. Like at the time, like it's one of those things now of looking back, I've been like, I don't think that film's appropriate for children, but
it's perfect for children. It twists them in all the best ways.
Yeah, but I love that. And then around the time the animated series was coming out, and I remember watching the first episode of that, but like I'd stumbled across it. Like it wasn't promoted in Ireland very well at all. Like it just sort of landed on TV. That was just sitting around one day and just flipping about, and then it's just like, oh, there's a Batman cartoon that started. But then yeah, I suppose in terms of the first time I saw this film, I'm not too sure I actually remember the first time I saw it. It probably would have been on television, because I didn't get the VHS tape till much later on. I recorded it several times, but I had that sort of the tried and true practice that you used to do. For people who may be of a certain age, you mightn't remember this.
Oh God, don't make me feel old.
But you used to record things on VHS tapes, and then basically, you could put like whatever you wanted on them in a VHS tape. So you'd have like Batman, and then like 5 episodes of The Simpsons on after, or something like that.
What about Netflix?
It didn't exist. It was only a pipe dream. But eventually though, and then you'd always be like, oh, I'll tape over that because you want to tape something else, and then down the line you're like, oh, I really regret taping over Batman. Then you record it again, and then a couple of months down the line, they'll be like, "Oh, I really wish that was on now." And then it will come on, and you record it, and then tape over it again. But,
The cycle begins again.
yeah, pretty much. But I do remember then, it was like years after that, finally buying the VHS tape. But it was, I bought it when I was on holiday, and this was at about like 1996. And I think I remember that it was an ex-rental copy because the covers of those were bigger than normal VHS covers. They were kind of
huge.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly. I'm assuming maybe it's to make them stand out on the shelves a bit more when people were going in to browse, maybe.
Yeah, or maybe if people... Well, no, I was going to say if people steal them, but no, because they didn't always keep them in the cases, did they?
No. I'm not too sure. Maybe that could be a thing to Google. Will be why were VHS rental?
Because I know in the places I would go, the cheap, crappy movies were in the cases, but the good movies weren't. They were in the back.
Yeah.
Like, so you'd take the case up and they'd get the tape. All the crappy ones were just out on the shelves. So I don't know if it is for that reason. It can't be. It must be something else.
But yeah, as I say, like a lot of my memories now from of this film come actually appropriate enough pre the film starting, because on that VHS, the ex-rental one, you had all the adverts for films that came, were also coming out in video, and I remember that some of them quite vividly because they had, I think they were advertising Dead Calm with Sam Neill and Billy Zane and the Nicole Kidman, who would of course then go on to be in Batman Forever. So
what a cast!
Yeah, that's a good film, Dead Calm. Actually, that's one of the ones that stands up as a fairly taut thriller these days. And then the other films, not so much. I remember they had an ad for Millennium with Chris Christopherson.
Not the show.
No, not the show. It was terrible looking. The trailer made it look like kind of weirdly intriguing because it was cut between a guy investigating a plane crash, Chris Christopherson, and then like all these weird like alien looking people in another room, and they're all like very well. The makeup looked very good, but since we've since looked into Millennium, and it is a exceptionally high 11% in Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, that gets my interest going there.
Yeah, and I think if you want to go and watch it, it is available now on YouTube. So watch with caution.
Are we legally allowed to endorse that?
I think so. Because I mean, what are they going to do? Just like to go and take it down from whoever put it up? But I don't think the people who made Millennium are going to care. Although, in looking into it, the guy who directed it is the guy who made Logan's Run, and he's still going at 97. So
good going there.
Yeah. And beyond that, we had there was the advert for "I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker."
Yes.
The blaxploitation kind of, or the kind of blaxploitation boys in the hood kind of spoof, really. Like. But that's actually not a bad film either, to be fair. But that might be. It's better than Millennium, I can tell you that.
Oh yes.
And then there was an advert for Young Einstein with Yahoo Serious, which is potentially the first time the name Yahoo Serious has been mentioned in about 10 years. Like in any, like just anyway, not even in like any form of digital media. Just like no one has ever said the words Yahoo Serious in about 10 years. But because he like that film though, I'm surprised it's not had a kind of revival because it was a big deal in the early 90s. I remember it was on every other week, but it's just completely disappeared from the public consciousness. It's just as if like no, the only remnant of Yahoo Serious is not Young Einstein, but Yahoo Serious himself, in like the kind of popular conscious over here is that one joke in the Australian episode of The Simpsons.
Oh God!
I think that's the only time. Like maybe some younger people might be like, oh, I don't. Lisa says like, was it they look at a slide saying Yahoo Serious Festival, and she's like, I know what those words are, but that sentence makes no sense. And I imagine that people a couple of years younger than us genuinely wouldn't make any sense.
Well, I struggled to remember who the hell
I
that
did
was.
remember, so, and it was entirely because of that VHS. So
it's imprinted in your brain. You can't escape Yahoo Serious.
But then after that, they had there was an ad for like the Commodore Amiga, and you could win
classic
from this tape. You could win a Commodore Amiga Batman pack, and it was
oh.
Well, apparently, I think the contest date was ended in 1990. But maybe call the number and see if they're doing. Maybe they're doing ones for like, oh, you can win a Commodore Amiga Batman versus Superman. But I remember like the way you won was they had a cartoon of a guy who was. They didn't call him the Riddler. It wasn't even a cartoon. It was a still cartoon image of a guy with like a kind of question marks on his chair and stuff, and but I think it's a bit weird. You think they'd want to go for like a Joker theme considering the film, but they would ask questions and it was all stuff like the Joker ain't so pretty, what's the name of his city, and but and then apparently at the end you had to come up with the most original reason why you should win the Commodore Amiga Batman pack. And then they had that, and then it was just finally that run of ads went on for about 20 minutes, and then eventually it's like finally the film's starting, and then as we'll get into the next episode, minute 1 occurs of Batman 89. So
oh yes,
but I've yammered on for bloody ages there, John. Like, have you? What's your history with the film?
Well, my history with the film, I also don't remember seeing it for the first time. I think I just kind of grew up with it all around me. Everybody was watching it, everyone at school and stuff. So I probably watched it. It'll have been around the early 90s. I'll have been about five years old probably. I got it on VHS because I was living abroad. I was living in Cyprus at the time, and a very popular way of getting movies there was this guy would come around selling them in a truck, like an ice cream truck with a siren and everything. So it was highly illegal in most places, I imagine. But this is how he would come around and sell.
So it wasn't like an ice cream truck jingle; it was a siren. Was it just like,
it was okay? A jingle is probably a more accurate term then. So I definitely bought it off this guy. I got a lot of my most favorite movies from him. I didn't get Star Wars from him. I bought that in a shop in the town. But I got quite a few.
Original, or was this post special edition?
No. This will have been like 1990.
Oh, so you got
two? No, before that. It'll have been like 91. I didn't have the widescreen TV. But the first tapes I bought were widescreen.
Do you remember, like, were they in? Because I'm so like this is piracy basically. Did they come in like the proper covers, or were they in like? Was there some guys on like a crude drawing of Darth Vader? It's just like, there you go, that's that done.
No, in these countries they go to great lengths to pirate. Well, they did back then. The whole experience, like it was an exact copy.
The pirated Batman tape, did that have like a pirate version of the Commodore Amiga ads in front of it or anything?
If only. I would have loved that. No, to my recollection, it didn't have any ads. It was just Batman. As well as the tape, of course, I had a lot of the toys and things like that, and I even had I've mentioned this off air to you, haven't I? The board game.
That I have no memory of. Because I know, I'm sure we'll get into it as the show progresses, but like, because this film was was a monster, like a huge hit, and like,
oh yeah,
they did. A lot of people say like they mishandled the merchandising of it, but there was a lot of Batman stuff out around 1989. So,
oh yeah, I wouldn't say they mishandled it. They did very well with it. Well, at least I had all of the anyway.
I know
I don't know if anyone else had
like,
any.
again, we'll get into it. I've seen some people say like, no, it was they didn't do as well as they kind of hoped they would, because I think apparently like they mishandled it in some way, like they didn't get toys out in time, or it'll be something like we'll get into it when. But I do remember seeing like I remember all the stuff been out, but apparently it was considered to be like, no, the Warner Brothers thought like we could have made way more off this if we had actually marketed ourselves and merchandised it properly and stuff. But
Maybe that's true, but I mean, this film did effectively save/resurrect the whole genre of superhero movies.
yeah,
So
this was what you got the resurrected from, was like quest for peace. Like at the
exactly. So you have to cut it some slack, don't you? No, the board game was fun though. I mean, it's not the most complex game. It's very simple, but sometimes they're the best games. I think everyone should check it out. It's probably on eBay. I say that it might be like £400 or $400 on eBay now. I don't know.
it's like it's either very valuable, or there's about 1 million of them for next to nothing. Like there's no in between. It's either like it's like worth $1,000 or it's worth like £2 or something. So
Well, to be honest, I bought it not long after the movie. Really, it's only a few years, 4 or 5 years. And I got it at a car boot sale or a garage sale, as Americans would say. So I bought that for next to nothing.
oh,
It was a steal.
what was the premise of the game though? Like what did you actually have to do in it?
Well, you're effectively racing against the Joker. Well, if you're Batman, you pick Batman or the Joker, and you get given a destination you've got to get to. But then things stop you along the way, as well as your opponent trying to slow you down. You have little battles. I say battles, you just roll dice at each other. But and yeah, you just have to try and get to the destination and then get back to your base. Which is harder than it sounds, because you get given like 50 more destinations and miss a turn and all sorts of nonsense to slow you down. But it was pretty fun, I think, because you could play 2 players, which is rare for board games.
The whole time I'd just be sitting doing the theme tune though, just be like other people making the moves, and I'd just be in the background going like.
Well, I had the soundtrack on cassette, but it was the Prince stuff, which I've got on vinyl, which I'm going to probably bring up throughout the podcast.
You can't not go through this film without mentioning Prince every time he comes up, basically.
No,
because it's in the first hour of it, he's not that prominently featured, and then like Party Man hits, and it's like it becomes the Prince movie for like a minute or two.
Oh yeah, Party Man!
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking forward to Party Man. You're going to learn this about me, everybody. I'm obsessed. But yeah, I think that sums everything up, doesn't it?
That episode should be a bit less focused on old board games and VHS intros to a film. Wait until we get into the actual film.
People hate it when we talk about
people. The VHS and the board game, they never shut up, these guys. But actually, I think it would be good though if we got in. We're hoping to get in, guests in later on, because I know they were saying there was a lot of merchandise to do with this, and like we had the toys and stuff, but there was a proper video game for it and everything.
Oh yeah,
and it'll be like as I say, like we were born, we were alive at the time the film came out, but we didn't get to experience Batmania of the '89 in all its glory. So we might be looking to get someone a bit older in to be. It was because we were there, but we weren't there. It's like
yeah, exactly.
I wasn't sitting up in my high chair going I hear this Batman film's really really cleaning house at the box office.
To be honest, that's exactly how I picture you. So that's upsetting to hear.
But no, it was only a year later. It's like when Batman Returns came around. I was like, I hear this Batman Returns is really scaring the crap out of some kids. Please get it to me for Christmas. But yeah, so we could get maybe hopefully be getting people who were there at the time who can speak to Batmania, who were part of the wave of it and stuff. And
yeah, that'll be good. Definitely, that's a goal.
Yeah, and I say in general the whole. If you're familiar with minute by minute podcasts, the pitch basically. We're going to delve in. We're going to delve deep.
Oh yeah.
We go into the last night. I spent a good 10 minutes, trying to get an exact framing of a guy's T-shirt in the film that you see for a split second, and then actually got a couple of minutes of content out of that for the show. So that's
It is amazing.
We're going in, but that's the level we're going in. So
Well, and if you haven't heard Minute by Minute podcast before, then I urge you to check out the original, the originator, the daddy Star Wars Minutes, the one that kicked it all off.
they are most excellent.
So yes, that's the end of this show, episode 0, the one to kick it all off. So tune in soon. We haven't got a date yet, but tune in soon for the actual show coming. Follow us on social media for more information and to keep on top of things. We have a Facebook page, BatMinute89. We have a Facebook group, the BatMinute89 Listeners Society. So just send a request over and we'll accept you on that. And we're on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. All of those are also BatMinute89.
And you'll hear us if you download us soon.
Yes. Stay tuned.
See you all next time. Same Bat Pod.
Different Bat Minute.